been a connection issue. It's happened a couple times before for people that I've just been chatting with over business. Never during never during a stream, but you're back. You're all good. Held down the fort for the 10 seconds you were gone.
Good to hear. So we're back. I'm good now.
Oh yeah, you're all good now. Yeah, I could hear you. I could see you,
I hope
and
so. Yeah. So okay. So anyway, the Rose City thing, it's kind of up in the air. If I get the promotion, then I'll probably be able to go. If I don't, then we're not going to be able to be there. So,
yeah,
which I'm really bummed about because that's kind of like that one's back, kind of towards the end of the year in September. So, I really look forward to it. Kind of that final con for us for the end of the summer. So, anyway, yeah, that's that. So, I can't remember if there was something else.
no, that was it. They're just asking about the con and what kind of your favorite one in the area is. Now, Cruiser wants to know if you had a Fisher Price My First Modem.
Thanks, Josh.
It's actually I assume that some of these people were coming with you because some of these names I have not seen yet before, so it's nice to see some other people coming in.
Yeah, I noticed some of my friends jumping in on there. So
yeah, I had a couple people that I know saying that they're gonna pop in, but they're gonna be late. But who knows? Also, if the stream keeps buffering for you guys for any reason through the actual stream, I will be uploading this onto YouTube after. Just take a look for Valor Props for Cos-Talk episode 4. That'll be good. And then I do also archive this on Twitch, so it will stay on Twitch afterwards as well. So if you guys have to kind of go back if you missed anything, it's there for you. Gotta support your boy, apparently.
Josh goes by Cruiser Cosplay, KRUZER, I think. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
SER.
I think I've seen that one before on Instagram. Periodically, just pop up through things, or it was either Instagram or Facebook. But I know I've seen that name around. May have to take a look at that.
His I'm having brain lock today. Dude from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Come on, Josh, tell me who it is. Crane. Have you seen?
Oh yeah. Actually, he followed the page earlier. That's exactly why I recognized the name. I've seen that before. I love that. One thing I've always wanted to do was actually do a couple Ninja Turtle things. Not so much cosplay, but some of the props, like stuff that's Donatello used to make and everything from the original 90s cartoon. That type of stuff that just gets me, or even making some of the little robots that Shredder sent after them. That stuff would be kind of cool.
I like all the old classic stuff. Is pretty great. And now everybody's like, "It's Crane, you idiot!"
You're getting in trouble, Eric. Getting in trouble. Oh man. So I'm actually wondering, what got you into cosplay in the first place? Like helping out your daughters and stuff like that, I know was a huge thing that got you into doing it personally, but did they kind of ask you for help as you were going, or was it just kind of you just decided to see if they needed help? Was it them asking you, or you offering to them?
Well, it was, it kind of morphed over several years. My oldest daughter and I went to Emerald City Comic Con like 6 or 7 years ago now. I mean, it's been a while, just with some friends. And, I didn't even know anything about cosplay. And, we went to the con, and I've always been, a total pop culture kind of guy. So, and, I have a little bit of background of reading comics and stuff, but I'm really more of a movie person than anything. But the con, was really cool. And when we were there, it's just like we saw all these amazing costumes. And my daughter was like, wow, this is really cool. I want to do that next year. And so she and her sister actually worked with their grandmother who you may have seen online too, because my mother-in-law
The
and my
Han
father-in-law.
Solo and Princess Leia. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I saw
yeah,
that. That
they
was
were
awesome.
totally viral, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a
Um,
enjoyable part of.
she made them Dalek dresses. My girls were really in, actually with the whole really into Doctor Who at the time, and so the next year they went as Daleks in the dresses.
Oh, okay. um, my question about
Um,
that too would be, what has actually been your favorite part of, like, what has been your favorite thing to like work on with your daughters for like cosplay and prop making? I know it's a pain in the ass every time you have to touch up the paint on the helix blade, but
yeah, that blade drives me crazy.
I think you said last time you had to
Sorry.
do it was like the sixth time, or was it more than that now?
No, I banged it up a while back. Actually, when the room I'm in right now is a room that we never really use that much. It's in my basement, and I had all my workshop space in a different room, and my wife's like, "Why don't you just take what we call the mud room and just use that for your shop or for your for your business stuff?" And so I moved everything into here, and then I don't know, I damaged it again when I was moving everything. So
Oh,
that blade's like that sword. It's like it's really impressive and it looks great, but it's like the bane of my existence. So,
so we know
so it's
that's
on
the
the
worst, but what was your
it's
favorite?
on the it's on the wall with the boo boo facing the wall, so I don't have to look at it. But I know it's there.
That's one way to do it. It fixes it.
Yeah, that's right. If I don't have to look at it, it doesn't exist.
That's like a George Costanza like fix right there.
Yeah, yeah. You know, my, I would say that the King Loki I did for my oldest daughter a couple years ago, which is what kind of set all of this in motion, is really my favorite to this day, and mostly because it's kind of like um, it was kind of a statement piece in a way. It was like, hey, I'm gonna do this stuff and I'm gonna do it really well. And when we took her to the first con in that Loki costume, I mean, she could not walk for like 2 feet for the whole day, and without being stopped, and people just like, wow, that's amazing. How did you make that? And all that stuff. And that costume, to this day, I still get people emailing me about it. And it was like 3 years ago. Um, and that was really the first, I mean, I had done some smaller props and things for their other costumes, but that was like my first armor build, still the only helmet I've ever done. For whatever reason, people don't ask me to do helmets, maybe because I haven't done many. The Loki scepter was really the first like what I would consider like legit, like weapon prop I've ever made.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was such a great fusion of one. My mother-in-law made an amazing, um, all the costume part of it, the actual cloth part of it, the jacket, the pants, the shirt. She just blew that out of the water. And then you add that with all of the armor that turned out, I mean, especially for the first time I ever did it, it turned out really, really well. To the point where we had people like, to this day, I mean, she still will wear that to cons every once in a while. And people still to this day will just be like, wow, that's like, I've seen a lot of Lokis and that's pretty legit.
Yeah, that
you know
scepter is
so
something else. Like, I want to see that scepter in person one day. That's probably out of like all of your daughter's like equipment, I guess, when it comes to cosplay. That's something that I really want to see, just because when I saw the movie, that was, out of the entire movie, the one thing that stood out to me aesthetically. And so to see a really well made copy of it, it's one of those things that's like, I have to see this in person, so I need to get down towards Seattle.
I appreciate that. Hey, come on! Anytime you're in the area, come on over. I'll show you all the cool stuff.
I actually do plan on going to EC
It's actually
Emerald City
I don't know.
Comic Con next year, so
Oh, do you really?
yeah, I missed it this
That
year
would be
because I
great.
keep forgetting when it is, and now that I know for sure it's like around springtime. The thing is, I've been out
Yeah.
of like the idea of con season for so long. because for
Gotcha.
good 5-6 years I didn't even go near a con because I didn't have the time. I had the day job, which wasn't my last day job. It was a different one, and that one I was working like 40 to 60 hours a week, and then it was nights and days, so it was always switching back and forth. And it was one of those things where I was a shipper receiver, so I couldn't really book time off, especially during the busy season, which was con season. So that was great. But yeah, no, I want to go to Emerald City Comic Con. I want to go to Dragon Con. I want to go to BlizzCon, because especially BlizzCon, because I do have a really fun variant of a Blizzard character that I'm trying to work on right now. Have some friends helping me with that one. Cool. Yeah, I mentioned it in the last episode. I'm gonna be doing the El Blanco variant skin of Reaper from Overwatch.
Yeah, Reaper is, you know, and I haven't even played Overwatch, and actually I'd like to play it when it comes out, but
the beta is this weekend or the next weekend. Yeah,
that Reaper, just the whole character and the costuming and stuff. It looks so good in pictures.
Honestly, one of my favorite parts about him is just, besides the Death Blossom, his like special move where he like just spins around and shoots in every direction, like it looks like he's got 4 arms coming out. Honestly, one of my favorite things about him is the fact that he shoots his shotguns, and when he runs out of ammo, he just drops them and pulls out 2 more.
Drops them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a great character, and it's for costuming. It's just so aesthetically pleasing. It just looks so good. Plus, you know, you have like the long jacket and the mask and the dual shotguns that are just like really cool looking. And they really knock
the thing is, if you see, there's 2 variants that are the same, but El Blanco is an all white version, like white details, everything version of the variant. It's a mariachi. Yeah. It's a mariachi player.
I know. It's like I've like, seen it. I was like,
that guitar.
That's
that guitar, Sugar Skull guitar. I was like, sold. If I'm gonna do a Reaper right now, I'm gonna put all my effort into that. I've been redesigning and dealing with people to redesign the mask because it's more skeletal than the original Reaper, so it's got the teeth and everything too.
Oh yeah. Okay,
so it's completely different, but it's like, then I'm talking to certain people and I'm trying to figure out if I want to just get a sombrero and then modify it, or if I'm gonna sit there and pattern it with foam and then make it with Warbler or something. So it's one of those things. I'm just really excited about that. Somebody wants to know what your dream costume prop to make for yourself, your girls, or the whole family.
That's actually my friend Bev, down in Creative Studios. You should check out her work if you haven't seen their stuff already. Amazing work. So I've mentioned this before on different things that I've been interviewed on and stuff. But my oldest daughter and I, my youngest doesn't really like it as much, but my oldest daughter and I just love the movie Pacific Rim.
Oh, okay.
So if I had like unlimited time, unlimited, everything, I would love to do a Jaeger, but then have my daughters in drive suits, and then we walk around and then the 3 of us walk around together.
Now, would you sit there and add height to yourself, like doing like a kind of stilt kind of setup, or would you just rely on the fact that so small?
No, the Jaeger would have to be like 10 feet tall.
Okay, so you'd pull like the Hulkbuster cosplays where people are starting to like design them with stilts and stuff like that in them.
Yeah. Because the Jaegers, they they're such a massive thing in the movie. I just feel like, just like a 7-foot tall version just wouldn't cut it. So no, it would have to be like, like 9 or 10 feet tall kind of thing. That Hulkbuster that was at New York City Comic Con. That thing was pretty amazing. So
there is one,
but again, that's unlimited everything.
Yeah, so. There's one Hulkbuster I'm waiting to be completed. It's James Bruton from xrobots.co.uk or whatever. I can't remember his exact. Yeah, he's 3D printing a lot of it. Majority of it is all 3D printed. Some of the things that he's actually done over the years for his old Iron Man suits and his BB-8 and the R2-D2 stuff like that, I follow because, well, I'm doing 3D printing. I'm doing a BB-8 right now because that, to me, before anything, that was like my favorite thing about the new Star Wars. BB-8 is just amazing, and it's one of those things where I could have fun with it, play with the electronics, do something a little bit more, expand my skill set again. I'm good with electronics,
Oh yeah.
but I've
Oh
never
yeah.
done, like a magnetic drive, like gravity kind of thing. So it's like it's one of those things that I could learn more by doing, and since other people have done it, I could kind of follow their instructions and kind of be like, okay, well, this is working, but this isn't working for me, so maybe if I try this instead, and I could learn from it. But I also think it's a kind of a fun way. I want to, with my cosplay and my prop making, I want to give back. So that's another reason why, again, like I'm doing a show and I'm doing things like participating with certain pages. But what I want to do is, we actually have a decent children's wing here in the hospital in my town. It's still, the hospital is still relatively new, so it's not like there's a lot there for the kids or anything. So what I want to do is movie releases and like a couple times like a year go to like the children's wing and like bring BB-8 there. It's one of
Oh
those.
yeah. That would be amazing.
I think that's something that would be really cute and really cool for the kids.
Oh yeah.
It'd be something different.
Yeah.
They get to play with BB-8, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I mean, it's
So
one of those things. What little kid doesn't want to play with a robot? Like,
oh yeah, exactly. I've done, the whole, man, I really want to build an R2D2 or a BB-8 or even a Wally because I love Wally too.
yeah,
But I've purposely stayed away from those types of builds for now because I know once I start, I'm gonna be obsessed and not stop. and then my kids will be like, "Are you gonna build us costumes or not?" So I could totally see myself like once my kids are out on their own doing their own thing, and I'm not um, I'm not expected to produce for them every year. I could see that being something I get into like down the road, the more robotic side of things, um, and because it just um, well, one, they're awesome,
yeah.
and two, how cool would it be to build your own robot? I mean, come on. That's
Exactly,
just
and that's kind of why I wanted to do it. It's like I've always had an interest in robotics and playing with things. I started when I was a little kid, just tearing apart VCRs and trying to fix them and stuff,
yeah.
and that's what got me into it. I remember when my mom used to work at this one restaurant when I was a kid. They would let me go with her to work on Saturday mornings because there was no way that my parents could, stay home and look after me at that point. So I would get to sit there. The owners loved me. They'd feed me like Rice Krispie squares, whatever. But then there was this one guy that would always bring in electronics that he got from like yard sales or whatever. And the first time it happened, he had a VCR, or it was a VCR or a radio, and he couldn't get it working. And then I started playing with it, and I got it working for him. And then so every week after that, he would come in with just a bunch of scrap stuff and be like, "If you could fix it, I'll buy you a chocolate bar. If you could fix it, I'll buy you chocolate milk." So it's like it wasn't like stuff that was absurdly bad, but it was one of those things that it was my first experience with electronics where it's like, okay, this wire's like kind of rusted out. You try to replace that, and then he'd move it, he'd get new wire or anything, come back the next week, that worked, that was what was wrong with it, and it's like, good job, here's chocolate milk. And it's like,
oh, that's cool. That's cool to have somebody that kind of takes you under their wing too, and like pushes you to try things that you maybe normally wouldn't have ever tried,
and
especially at a young age. So
and that's kind of what got me interested in a lot of things. Like I've always been making things or breaking things and fixing them, reverse engineering.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I used to. I haven't told this story in a long time, but when I was this ages me quite a bit too. Still,
it's okay. You aged yourself earlier. You dated yourself earlier.
So like one Christmas, I mean, I was dying for this this Batman set, and all it was this toy where Batman had a helicopter, right? And it's like there's this pivot, and this helicopter is like on a balanced wire kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And the helicopter, and all your controls were is you could turn it on, so it would like rise up, and then it would just kind of, it would like, fake fly around this circle.
Yeah. And
then you could make it go up and down, right? And I begged for that thing for months. I must have been like 8 or 9 years old, right? And I got it for Christmas, and I was just like, I just about died. I could not believe I got that thing for Christmas, and I loved it so much. The very next day, I took it all apart because because I was so intrigued by it. I was like, I had to know, how it worked or
What makes
whatever.
you
Well,
work?
yeah, yeah. Well, of course, it's like this little control box, and it has all these little springs in it and stuff. And this thing was made in, like, I mean, early '80s, if not late '70s. And so, of course, I couldn't put it back together right. My dad couldn't get it back together right, and it was just broken.
Oh.
I got to play with it for a day, and curiosity killed the cat. So, but that's just kind of the kid I was too. It's like I've always been that type. I have to, it's like I need to see how things work, and
Yeah.
I want to discover how they work, and I want to build things, and I want to make things and stuff like that.
But in that
So
case, I
yeah, I
think
was
it's
pretty bummed.
yeah. I think in that case, though, it's a little more accurately curiosity killed the bat in this case. Um,
Oh yeah, I can't believe I missed that one. I mean, come on.
Old school. Yeah, I'm assuming if it's that era too, it's like more like Adam West Batman too. So it's the old like punny style and everything too. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so.
So, so it totally. I'm tracking with you.
Oh yeah, I got you on that one.
I'm not gonna let a good pun go by either. That really fries me.
No, everyone gets one. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's kind of cool. Just you never know where you're gonna pick up skills, and that's why playing sometimes is the best way to do it. And nowadays, the scary thing is how accessible everything is too. Nowadays, if you did that, you could just go on Google and be like instruction manual or like schematics for something like that possibly, and it would show you how to put it back together. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
now there's the BB-8 Builders Club, which I'm actually a member of, and they literally like they give you essentially a building instruction guide on how to build a BB-8 from scratch, either by doing it with a 3D printer and doing the electronics, commissioning this, or buying a dome, or doing this, doing this. There's all these ways. It's like this. It's like this big. Like it's literally a huge thing. It was like 88 pages deep, and I didn't even print off everything that came with it. So it's like one of those things where it's like, oh my god, and then I start working on it, and I'm like, this is really cool, and it's like, hey, there's an FAQ because people always had these questions, so I could click on that and check that out. Oh, there's the answer to my problem. Thank you. Instead of playing around for 6 weeks to figure out, oh, you just needed to turn that the other way instead. It's with technology nowadays, your skills, if you don't take advantage of the tech out there, internet being the main thing, computers, uh, you're kind of just not taking it to the full potential, because even this, we have the chat going on, people could be sharing, tips and tricks. I could ask you something, you could ask me something. It's one of those things where you couldn't do this 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt, and that's I'm glad for it. I'm glad I live. I'm glad I live in this time where um, you can basically find at least a start of how to build just about anything you want
Yeah.
nowadays. I mean, really, you may not find everything step A to step Z, but you at least can find like a place to start.
Yeah.
Do you may have to do a lot of trial and error on your own, depending on what it is you want to build or whatever. But there is definitely a real like swell of minds out there of people that are just willing to share things. And from what I know about kind of the history of especially props and things like that, or is that's in that community, especially like with Hollywood and stuff. You hear TED talk about it sometimes, where for the longest time there wasn't, it's like everything was trade secret, right? Nobody would share anything, and because if you found a really great way to do something, you didn't want your competitor to know about it, because it might cost you a job or whatever. And it kind of seems like guys like Bill and Harrison and um, and Ted have kind of broken that gap a little bit. Frank Ippolito, same thing, where it's kind of like we're like in this nice groundswell of, it's almost cool now to share
Yeah,
your stuff
it's a sense of
and to help people
community.
out.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
It's really cool. Like, I've talked to Frank actually a couple times about different things, like how like he makes his molds, like because when it comes to it, really, like everyone always says, like, Harrison's the man, right? Like, Harrison's awesome,
yeah.
like, and like he's great at what he does. But even Harrison has gone to Frank for tips, right? Because
Oh yeah,
when it comes
yeah,
to molding, Frank is amazing at what he does. I've just even looking at pictures of his molds, I've learned things because the way he
yeah,
does certain
yeah.
flanges to help open the molds, and then it's like, well, what do you make that of? How does it look exactly like that? And then he's like, oh, you just use this, this, and this. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And it's kind of cool. Like, I actually, I'm trying to see if I get Frank on here. I know he just moved into his new shop and everything like that, so he's kind of busy doing a lot of different things right now. And then he's got stuff with Test It and everything too. But I'm gonna
Do
try.
you listen to his? Have you ever listened to his
Yeah, yeah,
creature podcast?
yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that. It's
The Creature
I,
Geeks or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's like any of that. I listen to all that stuff. Whether it's video, whether it's like I read it. I read what I can. I watch as many. Like Bills and you name it. I've watched it.
I have books from everybody.
Sorenzo
Like,
props,
yeah,
Pinsky prop, Mr. Pinsky. I mean, anybody that's got information out there,
yeah,
I take it in as quick as it's put out there because I almost every time, even something like watching like what you're doing right here, every time I watch something or read something, I learn at least one new thing,
yeah.
every single time. And so the information's there if you're willing to search for it. Um, and you can just learn a lot of things from all this stuff that all these really great creators are putting out. So um, and that's one of the reasons why I try to do. Um, I found that for me, I just kind of have to do more work in progress photos and maybe explain things with the photo, like on Facebook and Instagram, because I don't really have time to do all the other things that I'd like to do with that. Um, but I would like to do more videos. But I'm trying to work that into my schedule a little more.
Yeah,
So
that seems to be the thing with a lot of people now is more video content, and it adds to that idea, like you said, like the community with like Bill and like Harrison, everybody, everyone's sharing now, everyone's doing that, and how else are you going to do that without putting it out there? But it's so hard to put it out there if you don't have the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe someday I'll quit my day job, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
No, it's not an easy thing to do. Not and
Yeah,
everyone has their different paces. Bill quit his job 4 years ago, I think he said recently.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
4 years.
yeah, because there was this 4 year anniversary from quitting from Microsoft the other day when him and Britt went out for the day, and
Yeah,
then a couple other people, like it was like 5 or 6 years after they started prop making is when they quit, and then it's 3 or 4 years or whatever. Everyone has a different pace. Everyone will. It also varies on what you're doing. Like you said,
yeah, without a doubt,
you don't
without a
do a lot
doubt.
of helmets, whereas I've been pigeonholed into doing almost all helmets. Like, I literally have a stockpile of 9 different helmets that I'm working on currently, and I
Wow,
have 4 more coming.
wow,
So yeah, and
that's a
they're
lot of help.
yeah, yeah, they're all from Destiny too. So this is
Oh yeah.
I
Well, there's a lot of variants in Destiny, so you
well,
pretty much have a virtual catalog there.
there's 3 character classes, and each one has like 70 plus helmets. So it's like, oh my god, I'm like my
the, the
basement.
amount of the amount of accessories that game has, as far as like weapons and helmets and costume.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess they're
And
not called costumes in the game, but essentially costumes.
yeah,
It's
your
just like
gear, your gear,
it's
because you
like
have raid
that
sets and this and that.
that game is so dense. I can't believe all the amount of stuff they have in that game. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So it's all really cool looking too. So
That's actually one thing I was gonna ask you too. You've done some video game stuff, or some like video game movie-ish kind of stuff. And when it comes to that, any games or specific movies that you would like or would get that dream commission from that you'd like to do, but just can't do with for your own self?
Like, is there kind of like a white whale I'd want to build or something?
Yeah, like something that you're like, okay, I really want to make this, but I can't because I don't have the time. But if someone commissioned me to do it, I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's pretty much everything I build. I'm trying to think of something that, well, this is gonna sound like really like kind of trite, I guess, because it's like it's almost like, uh, um, it's kind of like the default prop, but I would really like to make a an alien's pulse rifle.
Nice.
Like a scratch built one though, just
Yeah.
like just have the time to like, and not like a quick like 3 week foam build, but like a real legit, like from scratch, you know from the actual guns that are in those shrouds, whether they're replicas or whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I wish my metal smithing skills was up to par. So I would love to learn to mill and things like that, because I would love to build like a super accurate version of the pulse rifle, because that gun, I've just been in love with that gun ever since I saw that movie so many years ago, and we just watched a couple days ago. So, and actually I'm wearing an alien shirt today too,
I noticed that. Yeah.
so
The one thing that the the chat thinks you should do is a 1-to-1 Jaeger. Fully functioning too. It has to be fully functioning. Otherwise, there's no point. There's no point.
I think that's a little bit above my skill set.
And
So-
you just
for
get a
me-
collaboration
for
with
me,
everyone
that's-
on the RPF.
For me, that's something that it's like, I'm sure you've seen all the Adam Sadovich videos of his obsession with Deckard's blaster from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could see myself, like, once I eventually get there and have the time, I'll be like that with that stupid pulse rifle. That's kind of like, it's like, for whatever reason, and I love the Blade Runner pistol too. That's something I would like to build as well. But for whatever reason, I could see myself being stupidly obsessed with that rifle and having like the perfect prop of it. But I want to build it myself. I don't want to buy a kit and build somebody else's kit. I want to build like the pristine, like as perfect as possible version of that. So
I hear you. I think mine, for me, just because growing up playing it, and you might actually have some appreciation for this too, is actually the hook shot. I want to make an actual like hook shot, but I would like to make it where it's at least semi-functional. So it may not necessarily go like super far and be able to pull you, but at least something that will launch out and wind back up. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
And that's the thing is, I've actually gone through the. Have you ever watched the videos, the game theory videos? There's actually one specifically about the hook shot. It goes into depth about like how it could actually pull him like that far and like.
Oh really?
Else. Yeah, it goes into real.
I have to look that. I've seen some of the game theory, but I don't think I've seen that specific one.
That one, I was in the dark corners of YouTube one day being bored and couldn't sleep, and then I just found that, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch this. This seems interesting, and like the theories behind it, it seemed pretty solid. I was like, I ain't gonna build that.
Well, and somebody's already done the homework for you.
Yeah.
So
it's like I just gotta apply it. It's just taking the math and physics and applying it, and then giving up on life.
Exactly.
Because well, we're actually running out of time here.
What's food and sleep and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I
do is make cool stuff.
I'll live in a cardboard box and eat like tree leaves until I have it made. But I do want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank everyone who showed up in the chat today. You guys are always great. I enjoy seeing new names in there and hope to see you again next week. I am for sure trying to make sure that this is a weekly thing. I'm hoping that if things go right, I could get you back on here again, Eric, and then
Oh
plenty more
yeah, I'd
episodes to
love to
go.
do it anytime, anytime,
Uh,
anytime. I love talking shop. So that's probably my favorite about cons is meeting up with other builders and just talking shop and learning new things.
and that's one thing that I'm enjoying too is the fact that new people coming into this, the people that are watching this are usually builders, and I might find someone cool to follow now every time I do an episode that I may not have seen before.
Oh yeah,
And that's the thing. So it's like, thanks guys.
yeah.
I'm loving this. I'm really enjoying doing this, and I hope to do plenty more. I'm hoping next week, I'm not gonna jinx it, but I'm hoping I could get Ted on here. I just gotta figure out a day that works well for him, but I will be posting that on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything. If you don't already follow Eric, I'm assuming you guys do, but everything, your social media is just all over the place with the names. I know you got Core Geek Cosplay and Creations on Facebook, you got at Core Geek on Instagram, at Core Geek Net on Twitter, and I know the Twitter story behind that is because somebody already had at Core Geek, I believe. I think you said that before.
Usually that's kind of like what I try to just do core geek as much as I can.
Yeah.
But in some cases, for whatever reason, Core Geek has already been taken. So on some of the stuff, I'm Core Geek Net because my website's
coregeek.net.
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I made sure I scoured.
I try to make a method to the madness, but it's kind of all over the place. But Core Geek is always the same. There's always Core Geek as part of it. You know, it's just like sometimes it's the after Core Geek is a little variant, but for the most part, Core Geek is the same on every outlet that's possible. So,
well, like I said, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Eric, and I hope to see you guys next week. Peace out, everyone.
Hey, thanks for having me, and it was a good time. So, I'll be